The EWA podcast is a free-flowing conversation that occasionally touches on obscene? That doesn't matter, just listen to it. Welcome, everyone, to the EWA podcast. We are back and better than ever. I feel like I say that every single time, and every single time it gets truer and truer. Last week I had a great episode with John, had some decent feedback. Could always use more. Love it whenever people listen to the podcast and give feedback. I mean, you don't see a whole lot of negative feedback with podcasts, but you might see some this week, especially with the guest I have on. All jokes aside, though, we are breaking the podcast cherry for our Australian member. It's currently like 7:30 in the morning there, like 7:45 in the morning there. So he was kind enough to wake up and do this podcast with me. Chris, I want to welcome you to the EWA podcast. Chris, welcome, my friend.
Thank you.
And for those of you who don't know, Chris handles Shelton Benjamin and has had Shelton since he joined the EWA. And also has AJ Lee, and is Uhaa Nation still around?
I don't know.
You don't know? Who is, okay, maybe this is just me showing my true colors, but who is Uhaa Nation, like, in real life? Is that a real person that you just gave a different name?
He's, think of the biggest athletic guy you know in wrestling, and he's better than that. He's pretty good. You should have a look at him, actually.
He's like Nathan Jones, but better?
He looks like Bobby Lashley, but does, shooting star presses.
Is he white?
No, he's black.
So he's like a black Adrian Neville?
I guess, yeah, but bigger.
So he's a huge Bobby Lashley guy who does shooting star presses.
Yeah, his finishing move is a shooting star press.
Really? Yeah. A true story about Franklin Lashley real quick, Bobby Lashley. That was not actually intentional, but true story about Bobby Lashley. I'm good friends with Jazz, who's in the EWA, and he scored us some sweet tickets for a knockoff UFC fight here in Kansas City. And so we went to this huge arena, the Sprint Center. It's a huge, beautiful arena, and we had these sweet seats. And Bobby Lashley was in the main event of this UFC fight. Well, the sweet tickets also came with third row tickets, and so we went down, and seriously, it was on pay-per-view. And we could not find it on Pirate Bay or anywhere else. There had to be 37 people there. It was insane. The amount of money they put into this, they had to lose their ass on it. And so, there was nobody there. And the thing was, with 37 people there, and Jazz can attest to this if he ever listens to this, but you could hear me all the way across the arena, just drunkenly screaming at Bobby Lashley. I don't even remember what I was saying, but I was whatever his finishing move was, I was give him the fucking F5, Bobby Lashley. I was just drunk out of my mind, yelling at Bobby Lashley at this UFC fight.
That's probably why he doesn't fight anymore, because no one watches it.
He's I'm giving up, because that's how he talks, right? He's I'm done. All right, so Uhaa Nation is a real person. Now, Chris, I have done some extensive research on you and took meticulous notes today about yourself and your profile, and I have a couple things that I want to go over. So let me just pull my cards out of my pocket here. All right, first thing, so you're a giant prick. Oh,
yes.
No, that's my Steve card. Sorry, let me, whoops, my bad. Let me go on to the next. No, seriously though, Chris, the EWA is your first e-feding experience. Is that a correct statement?
Yes, that's very true.
Okay, now before we get to how you found the EWA, how did you even find out about e-feds in general?
I was on a blog. There's this I was looking for this indie wrestling fed on YouTube, and I come across this countdown of all these different e-feds. And then I just kind of started Googling around. It was, like I said last time, it was really late at night, and we come to the conclusion I was looking at Japanese GIF porn, so...
Clearly.
Yeah, and I don't know, I just kind of stumbled on it. It it was kind of odd, and it seemed like something I thought I could do. So I joined, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Was EWA the only one that you joined at that time, or did you check other ones out and just tried to join them and they didn't accept you, or they weren't active, or?
I had a look at some, but I said in the feedback on the forum that this was the simplest one to navigate. And since it was my first one, heaps of them had extravagant layouts and different links to everything, and I was just like, fuck it. And then I just joined this one. And I liked this one because it wasn't a created wrestler one. I liked it because you could grab your own wrestler and pretty much just go from there.
Right. And these are all probably posts that you've made on the forum throughout time, but, people are illiterate and they like to have things said to them. So I'm going to go ahead and ask you, what led you to the decision to pick Shelton Benjamin upon entering the EWA?
He was my favorite wrestler as a kid, so...
That's so insane. How old are you?
I'm 22.
See, Shelton Benjamin, my favorite wrestler as a kid. I remember watching him in college, so clearly I hate your guts, but whatever. I
liked him when he was taking on Triple H, and then they fucking buried him, so fuck that.
He got the old Cody Rhodes treatment.
Yeah, he got the Big Mama gimmick, and that was it.
They threw him in a tag team with Charlie Haas, and, actually that tag team wasn't that bad.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
And then you came in at an odd time, or I guess an odd time to join the EWA if there was an odd time of the year. You came in right around Super Brawl, right?
Yeah, that was probably the best time.
Yeah, maybe so, but it's hard to get involved in something at that time because, as everything's going on, you're just like, holy shit, what a massive undertaking that must be. To come in at that time and to be an observer from the outside, what was Super Brawl like to the eyes of someone experiencing it for the first time?
That was really cool. That was probably one of the reasons I actually joined. Because it just seemed amazing, from the live draft to the actual, idea of it. And then I actually saw it, and Steve Corino retiring, and then... So I read back about Steve Corino and found out all this stuff, and I don't know, it was just the perfect time for me to kind of stumble on the Fed, because it gave me something that I wanted to do, maybe later on.
Right. So, you have your eyes set on Super Brawl this year, as much like the rest of us do, and I think you have a very good shot of winding up on a team. So, it's cool to see you stick around, but that probably wasn't the case. I don't want to make assumptions, and I don't want to, guess at what you were thinking at that time, but you went through a rough patch upon first starting out here. And this can be a pretty tumultuous place to start out, especially if you're going up against established guys, established players, new characters, for a lack of a better sentence structure, I guess. And, you took some consecutive losses on the chin early. What was your attitude in your beginning stages of your matches here in the EWA?
When I first got here, I was actually I actually thought I could, be successful really quickly, and then it kind of panned out that it's not like that. It was a lot different, and it got real hard after the first couple. I think it took me, 51 days to win my first match, which was pretty fucked. And then, but I had people like Brett and I think John help me, they kind of talked me down off the ledge a couple of times where I was on the border of leaving a couple of times, but I don't know, I stayed for better, I guess.
And I think we've all gone through experiences like that where, losing sucks. And, that's a common theme that we find on these podcasts whenever we talk to these people. It's, losing is a bitter pill to swallow, but, losing a bunch, it can really test your mettle. And besides, John and Brett talking you off the ledge, what really brought you back around? Was it the first win? Yeah, and even though when I was losing, I still enjoyed it. As the further I got into it, I realized that it didn't, I like to win, but, if I lost, it's not that big of a deal, considering how new I am to the whole thing. Mm-hmm. So I kind of just thought about it in that situation, and I don't know. But then again, to see guys like Bobby Lashley, for instance, come in around the same time as you or after you and have a high level of success, that had to have been frustrating. I liked Andre, but I was more pissed that, he won all those matches and the first time he lost, he left. Yeah.
It was more like, well, you had to lose at some point. Like, what were you expecting?
And there's a lot of speculation as to why Andre left. He had his match with John and just kind of said that everything became too big and too real for him and too difficult. So, he packed up his ball and went home. There was also the feedback drama around that time, which is not something that we really need to get into considering it's Andre and not you. But do you think Andre might have been a case of the EWA community kind of, running someone out?
At first I did. Like, I remember putting on the suggestion box the hazing, but I've thought about it a bit more, and it's not the case, really. You can't, like, that's just how some people are. Like, you're going to meet people who you don't necessarily get along with in life, and you can't exactly just use it as an excuse to jump up and leave, I guess.
Well, and I think that the EWA is a case of a whole bunch of different personalities from a whole bunch of different backgrounds and a whole different areas in the world coming together, and you're not always going to get along. And it's funny, I was listening to the first podcast I did with Newt yesterday. By the way, I don't do anything at work, just so you know. So I was listening to that, and we were talking about how he deals with people's relationships. And, before things like the podcast and having an EWA Facebook group like there is, like, people, like, detested each other. And, I feel like we've come a long way. So, even in the time you've been here, I feel like we've come a long way. Wouldn't you agree? Yeah.
Well, when I first got here, I wouldn't say I was judgmental, but, like, I was kind of standoffish about some people, but I kind of matured and just thought, like, that's just how some people are. Like, I don't think they're being rude at times, or, like, Fuzz is very blunt and stuff like that. So at first I might have taken that, if he had have directed at me, as a bit of an insult, but now that's just Fuzz, you know what I mean?
Yeah. It doesn't always make it okay just to explain someone by saying their name, though. Like, well, that's Craig is Craig. That doesn't stop someone from, that doesn't excuse someone from being a douchebag, but it does give you a sense of more understanding. Like, this is how this person is. He's not being a jerk. That's just, this is how he expresses himself.
Yeah, and I think online a lot of stuff gets lost in translation, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I could say something and it could come across differently to how I meant it, and that could cause a lot of trouble. But, yeah, I think the key is not reading into it too much. Just do your own thing and...
Well, getting back on topic, right around the time that Lashley had his title shot was when you brought in your female character, AJ Lee, if I'm not mistaken. And what was your motivation and emphasis in bringing in AJ Lee to the fold?
Maybe it wasn't. I wasn't going to get her into matches. Actually, it was more to build a relationship with Shelton and give him more substance. And then things I started to get more confidence with Shelton. I thought I'll chuck her in a match, and I won one, and then I won another one, and it just kind of went from there.
Right. And as you've come along, I think, a lot of us would say that you've drastically improved as a writer. What would you say has been the biggest change you've made in your writing style since you joined the EWA?
I don't know. I think I've stopped switching up a lot more. I was all over the place for a while there, just trying to find what worked for me, but I think I found it, and I don't know, I'm just staying to what I guess works for me.
Right, and, Shelton Benjamin had a really good showing in the Civil War match. He was in there for quite a long time, and, I think he had some eliminations as well, if I'm not mistaken, including Vader, but I could be wrong on that. No, Vader was eliminated by China. That's
I know
right.
Bo Dallas eliminated me.
Yeah, sorry, dude. But you got me back the next week on Slam.
I didn't know that was you.
Yeah, that was me.
Sorry, man.
Hey, you don't need to apologize. Right, so you had a good run in Civil War with Shelton Benjamin. Things progressed over the summer, and who did... Again, I apologize, but who did you wind up feuding with over the majority of this summer?
MVP, so James.
Oh, absolutely tremendous guy to work with.
Yeah.
Talk about your experience of working with James. James is someone I'd love to have on the podcast. I know he's very busy, and of course the time difference because he's in England as well. But go ahead and talk about your experience about working with James.
He was very accommodating. Like, he's a real nice guy, and I don't know, he's very focused and he knows what he's doing, and I learned a lot from James. It's a shame the feud had to end like that, but hopefully he's back soon and keeps going.
Now, from that feud with James, you were able to spin a national title shot out of that against D'Angelo Dinero at the 13th Anniversary Slam. Now, I'm not looking to ruffle any feathers, and I'm not looking to cause any sort of dissension, but this was your chance at a title shot. Like, this was your national title shot chance. And we came out of that Slam with you joining ranks with D'Angelo Dinero. Now,
yeah.
what was the thought process behind that?
So it went like this. 2 days before Slam, the card was announced.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff come up to me and said, "Do you want to join this stable with me?" And being Jeff, I said yes straight away. And then Newt comes out and says, "You got a shot against Jeff." And I was like, "Well, fuck, like it's not going to work." Say, for example, if I did beat Jeff, the stable's not going to work. And I spoke to John, I spoke to Brett as usual, and I thought that I would learn more, and I don't think I was ready to have a shot at the title, if that makes sense. Like, It wasn't any disrespect, like getting it from Newt, or like I wanted to waste it. It was more, it will help me more if I work with Jeff rather than go out on a whim and say I did win the title. I could lose it 2 weeks later, you know what I mean? And that opportunity's gone. So,
right. That's quite an interesting perspective to take on it. I don't think a lot of us would have done that in that situation. I can't imagine Brett and I being put in that tag team match for the titles on that Slam, and then BP and Nealon messaging us and being like, "Hey, you want to make like a stable?" And us being like, "All right, sounds good." No, we'd be like, "No, fuck you. We're going to take your fucking titles."
Yeah.
So
I can understand that, but it was just, I don't know, it just seemed better for me. I probably wouldn't have won the match regardless, and it may have annoyed some people, but I don't know, I guess I just did what was best for me, and working with Jeff's probably best for me. There's no guarantee I'd win the match, and even if I did win the match, how long it would last. I don't think
that's beside the point, though. Nobody knows how long their title reign is going to last. I mean, Corey wins the title, and he's out there the very next fucking week saying, "If you want it, come and get it." And he's taking on literally everyone that even looks at him wrong right now. So, I mean, you can't put yourself in the mind frame of, well, you know, you never know when it's going to end. And no, like, you fucking go up there and, you know, you bust your ass. And I think you would have made a fine champion. I thought it was pretty, not upsetting, but I thought it was pretty uncool that Dinero wasn't able to defend his belt at Summer Stampede.
Yeah. I know Jeff's had a lot of trouble with some stuff, but sometimes you can't control these things, and I really would have liked to contest for it, but I don't think I'm at that standard yet. Like, personally, I don't think I could sustain it well enough the way I wanted to, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So, with that out of the way now, and us heading towards Cyber Sunday, you have a big match this week against Brian's new character, Ultimo Dragon. You just posted your first role play today with that included Chris Daniels about meditation on a rock and all that good stuff. And so where is Shelton Benjamin at going forward from here right now in the EWA?
I'm actually working on something with Garrett Bischoff coming into this Slam, so that should be interesting. I'm kind of taking it on myself to try and contact a couple of the new guys and help them settle in, and I don't know, Garrett seemed like he's going in the right direction. He won at Summer Stampede against one of the Bullet Club members, and he seemed keen to work, so.
Have you had a lot of response from the new members yet?
I messaged the handler for the Bullet Club, and he replied, and I've messaged Garrett, and that's pretty much it. I haven't had a chance to message Seth Rollins, even though he seems like he doesn't need any fucking help.
Yeah.
He's pretty good.
Yeah, he wasn't too bad. I read his as well today. Okay, so this is your first EFED experience. You've had roughly about 10 months here in the EWA. What has been your favorite part of the EWA so far?
Oh, man. Probably the Civil War Rumble.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe Lethal Lottery. Lethal Lottery was really fun. I liked it.
Who did you wind up tagging with for that?
I'm pretty sure Pylam, Mr. Kennedy. Mr. Kennedy, yeah.
Did you guys make
he
a
come
run
in as
in
a
that?
mystery entrant.
Ah, okay.
So I had no idea. Obviously, no one had no idea, but...
The Lethal Lottery, that's something that just started, I believe... It might have been 2 years ago that happened for the first time, and it's kind of gone through a couple different iterations. But it's a nice concept, and now with the WWE Network, which you can get for $9.99, it's loosely based off a concept that WCW came up with in the early '90s. So there's no surprise why Newt is using that, considering he has a major hard-on for early '90s stuff. What has been your least favorite part of the EWA so far?
Losing to Gunner. That was really early on, and I put in a pretty bad effort, and that was one of the matches I thought going into it like, hey, this guy's new, I'm new, this is when I could win, and I really fucking let myself down in that one. So, other than that, I've had a really good time here.
Yeah, those are tough ones. The ones where you go in and you're just like, this is it. This is my chance to do it, and then you still fall short. Have you communicated, or did you communicate with Newt early on when you were having your struggles and problems to kind of touch base with him, or have you not really spoken with him a whole lot?
I spoke to Newt a fair bit. Like, if you could see the inboxes and the messages to Newt when I first started, you'd know this is my first fucking EFED.
Mm-hmm.
Just, like, questions. I didn't know what character descriptions were. I didn't know what squash matches were. I had no idea. But I bounced a lot of feedback off him, and he always told me I was close, just need to fix a few things. And he was right, I guess, and I slowly fixed everything, and I finally won my first match against Keiji Muto, I think his name is.
Listen to this. This guy's a rolling Flipadex of every match that he's had and what happened in that match.
I'm scarred. I know every single one of them.
Somebody played Kenji Muto that's around, right? Like, that was somebody that's still here, isn't it?
I have no idea.
I don't know either. If you were Kenji Muto, you need to come out in the comments and say who the fuck you were.
Yeah, I didn't mind his stuff. He was alright.
Yeah, he played good stuff. It was the Great Muto, right? Like, that's the same guy.
Yeah, I think, it is.
Interesting. And so now you're a part of the EWA community. You're taking part in OOC conversations. You're checking out Corey's pay-per-view club and watching old stuff, and you've become an integral part of the whole machine here. Let's move it in a different direction. Okay, so you live in Australia. What time is the due date for RPs where you're at?
Roughly around 6 p.m. Sunday evening.
That's actually pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah, that works out so well.
I'm moving to Australia just so I can write role plays on Sunday. But then the downside is Sunday Night Slam becomes like Monday afternoon Slam for you, right?
I used to get it, like, when we were pretty packed out and it was busy, I used to get it, like, Wednesdays or Tuesdays or...
And then you're like, well, I can't complain because I have until Sunday at 6 to get these things done.
Yeah, so it's pretty fucking tough. It's pretty hard for people to put it up on Sunday.
I just want to say this right now. Newt, I'm calling that an unfair advantage, and I want time zone restraints put into place in the EWA right now. Do they air Monday Night Raw live over there?
Yeah, but it's at like 11 a.m. or something like that.
So on a Tuesday, I assume.
Yeah, but I don't watch it, so.
Oh, you don't watch the current stuff?
I haven't watched wrestling in a long time. Like, I watch older stuff, but
since like since the Royal Rumble when John Cena won, and you were like, "Fuck this," or Dave Bautista.
Yeah, I'm fucking done with that shit.
You're like, "I'm done with Dave Bautista."
Yeah, all of it.
That's understandable. Oh man, I had a question in my head and I forgot what it was. It was gonna roll right into the next one. That's all right. Where do you wind up drawing your inspiration for role plays from?
Myself, a lot of them. I've actually reread a lot of them the other week just to gauge where I'm at, and I realized like at different points in my life during those role plays, things were happening in my own personal life, and I kind of manifested it into Shelton Benjamin in a way. Like, my father is completely fucking psychotic and just a dick. I don't talk to my father, obviously. And he's essentially Ron Simmons, like, and I don't know, a lot of it just, I didn't realize while I was writing it, but it just relates to me in a lot of ways.
I think a lot of us can relate to that. I know when I was going through my relationship problems, like, you could clearly see that in Cody Rhodes' role plays, where there would just be like this dissension with either like his partner or his stable, or if he was seeing someone in the story that I had, like, you could clearly see that. I think that's the best place to draw inspiration from. So with that being said, does that mean that you recently meditated on a rock with Chris Daniels?
I tried to contact him, but he didn't reply.
No, he didn't say anything?
No, I think he was too busy meditating.
Well, on a rock somewhere.
Yeah.
So are you an angry person? Is that what you meant by your Shelton role play today?
I was recently, but
you just push it out?
I've found peace, yes.
Did you? Now, does that peace have to do with this lovely lady in your Skype picture?
No, that has to do with my anger.
She has to do with your anger? Now, I'm not looking to delve deep into your personal life here. How long have you been seeing this lovely lady?
2 years.
2 years?
Yes.
So this begs the question, Chris. Does she know about the EWA?
No. She knows of it as creative writing.
And how did you explain that to her?
Oh, she doesn't know what I do. I just say I'm doing creative writing. Because I used to do a bit of journalism, and I'm sharpening my tools.
She's never like, oh, I want to see, or oh, let me see, or oh, what's Craig up to? She doesn't say anything?
She asked me what Craig's up to, but I
she does. She never asked to like see it, and you're just like, oh, it's nothing. Don't worry about it. It's for an op-ed article about how the Prime Minister's a piece of shit. Don't worry.
He is a piece of shit.
But okay, that's beside the point. This is not time for your political rants. This is about you hiding secrets from your girlfriend.
Yeah, but nah, she doesn't know. It's creative writing.
What would it take for you to tell her? Do you think it'd be a deal breaker for her?
I don't think it would be a deal breaker.
Would you be embarrassed if she found out?
I think we all would be a bit embarrassed if people we knew found out.
Apparently, you never listened to my podcast where my coworkers found the podcast that I recorded.
Oh, I know. How'd you deal with that?
I didn't. I quit that job.
Oh, well, there you go. There's your answer, Craig. I don't want to have to quit my girlfriend.
That's true. Yeah, that's bad news, man. That's seriously bad news.
Yeah, I'm learning from other people's experience.
I think we've all had to like explain it once. I think there's probably one or two people in the Fed that have probably like never been caught. It's almost just like some sort of like scarlet letter. Like you can't just explain it full on. Like, yeah, yes, Mom.
It's hard to explain. Like you can't sit someone down and convince them that you're sane if you tell them what we do. Like,
yeah, and I tried to convince like a girl before. Like I was just like. I was checking it on my phone, and she's like, what is that? And I was like, don't worry about it. And then she kept asking, and I was like, all right, fine. You want to know what this is? I was like,
fucking ask for it.
Like, professional wrestling, right? And then, like, immediately right from there, like, from then on, you're judged.
Yeah, like, that's a good point, because I was watching Raw one night, like one of the repeats, and she's like, I don't know why you guys watch that. I was like, What do you fucking mean? Like, why do you watch, like, Friends or fucking Grey's Anatomy or any of that shit?
Oh, are those shows still new over there?
Yeah, they do.
You guys are still getting new seasons of Friends and Grey's Anatomy over there?
Yeah, she just rewatches them, and, like, I'm just why the fuck do you watch that? Like, what what's the difference? And she's like, but that's fake. I was like, so is that? Like, but I don't think girls...
that's the best. That's the best response. You're like, that's fake. Like, well, so's every fucking thing that you watch on TV.
Yeah, like 50 Shades of Grey bullshit you read, like, all that.
Yeah. Well, let's hope that neither of us ever have to explain to anyone again what we do and why we do it.
Yeah, so, let's
so
hope.
Chris, I want to get really deep on you, and that's not a sexual thing. But what do you have to do to become even better?
I have to keep going, I guess. Just keep... Because I look at people like John and Brett, and they've been e-fedding for 10 years plus, like, and I've been here for 10 months, so I've got to put it into perspective, and I can't expect too much too soon, and I don't know, I just got to keep my head down and keep going, I guess. Right.
Where do you see the Shelton Benjamin character a year from now?
I would actually, I didn't have a goal to be in Super Brawl this year, but maybe next year. This year was more a platform to set myself up for maybe next year, and hopefully some bigger and better things happen then.
Who do you think, and I want you to be honest here, you're not going to hurt anybody's feelings, who do you think is the best rider in the EWA?
K2.
Did you ever get to read his old Damien Sandow stuff?
No.
It was pretty good, too. What do you like about K2's work?
It actually scares me. Like, he's nailed how Bray Wyatt should sound.
Have you ever read the Snowman's work? Because it can be pretty terrifying, too.
No, I haven't.
No. Al Snow's stuff is terrifying.
Oh, yeah. That hot air balloon, he makes me laugh, man. Like, that's funny. Like, I've always wondered, like, if you write a good, like, comedic roleplay as opposed to a good serious one, like, does it get the same amount of points, or, like...
And, you know, that's something that Newt and I have touched on in old podcasts, too, and I think I did one with Dylan, where he said that he used to handle Lance Storm, and he said that he used to be really high and drunk whenever he wrote Lance Storm role plays, and they were, like, super serious, and he's, like, stone cold sober every time he writes a Al Snow or BWO role play.
Yeah,
so,
I messaged him, like, maybe 2 months ago and asked him if he was on LSD when he wrote one of them, like, because one of them was completely fucking crazy. It was good. It was really good. Like, I really enjoyed it, and I was just...
Yeah, we went, like, complete opposites. Like, we went with Dylan, and we went with K2 there. But, yeah, K2's work is pretty spectacular, which is fairly obvious since he spent a good majority of the summer being the champ.
Yeah.
But he's able to, capture that voice of Bray Wyatt and really do something with it. And I think the big thing for K2 is that he's doing... Well, not now, because I think he stepped back for a while.
Yeah.
So this might be a bad example of that, but he's doing what the real Bray Wyatt wasn't able to do, and that's keep up a high level of consistency with that character. Because, it's a difficult character and person to, keep up that level with,
Yeah, it's a real hot for so long character. It kind of draws out when he's not recruiting new members and kidnapping people and...
Yeah. Okay, let's go back and let's start over. Let's say it's sign up the day you signed up for the EWA.
Yep.
And I'm not going to put a character on you. I'm not going to put a person on you or anything like that. I just want to know, if you could go back to that day that you signed up, what would you tell yourself or what would you do different?
Ah, shit. Hindsight's a wonderful thing. I don't know. I would have tried to maybe integrate myself earlier into everything.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause I think during my earlier stuff, I kind of felt not alone, but kind of excluded, if that makes sense. And it gave me this mentality that kind of come out when I write, and I don't think it helped me at all. I think I had this like aggressive, like pretty much he was a piece of shit. Shelton Benjamin was a piece of shit really early, and he didn't really know where he was going, and he was kind of just angry and everything. And if I could go back, I'd probably just try and get involved a bit more rather than not sulking, but kind of sitting back thinking, well, they don't fucking want me here, you know what I mean?
And like I said, I think that's what I meant whenever I said Super Brawl is a tough time to join, because there are so many different stories and lines that are coming in together to one giant event, and usually coming out of Super Brawl, there are so many stories and directions people are going that it's hard for new people to come in and, jump into something with someone, because everybody usually has something going on, whereas if you come in this time of the year or about 4 or 5 months ago, there are people available to do segments and do work with you, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it was close to 3 months until I got into a feud. I was just taking just a match where I could get it, really, and that's not easy because you can't really build on anything. It's just kind of role play for this and then role play for that, and then if you can try and tie it all in, and it disrupts you a bit. And I've found that once I started working with James and writing consistently about the same thing, I felt like I was doing better then than when I was skipping from opponent to opponent.
Well, and I think a lot of that has to do with when you're skipping opponent to opponent, you just have to tell the story that you want to tell in the role plays. And it's difficult because, you're like, well, this guy's a piece of shit because of this, and this guy's a piece of shit because of this, and here's what's happening in my life. It's a difficult voice to capture, whereas, if you're doing something consistently every week and doing segments with that person, then you can take those random matches with people and tie it into what's happening with the person you have something going on with.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a lot easier when you're working with someone and you're working towards the same thing with someone, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, James and I knew where we were going and how we were going to get there, but, as with the EWA, it changed. Everything kind of... James had a lot of stuff going on, and he ended up no-showing in the last one, which was really unfortunate.
And very atypical to James. I don't think I've ever seen him no-show.
Yeah,
so.
that was... On the Bagpipe report, we were talking about how he's never no-showed, and that was maybe a week before it actually happened.
Yeah.
So,
well, we're pretty good at jinxing stuff.
Yeah.
You're welcome. We got you the win, and, a pay-per-view win. You're welcome. The podcast does magical things. And now I expect Shelton Benjamin to never lose a match again.
You're going to be sorely mistaken, I'm sorry.
Oh, come on. We're trying to get people to come on to these podcasts, Chris.
Yeah. And
What's that?
Taking on Brian this week is pretty fucked also. Because he's got a lot of momentum coming in. It's his debut and stuff, so...
What do you mean? If it's his debut, he has no momentum.
No, but he's had, the Upcoming, all the segments and stuff like that, and it's all...
Oh, yeah.
Come to this, and now he has to verse me, so...
Well, I tell you what. For a second role play, you go size 48 font, and you put in the action sequence. Shelton Benjamin is riding a skateboard. He falls off of it, and accidentally kicks Ultimo Dragon in the nuts, and then close it out and post it.
That could work.
He won't listen to this. Please don't. I think Bryce once posted a role play of William Regal riding a skateboard when somebody else no-showed, and he did it with 5 seconds left before the deadline, and he wound up getting, when he was like, William Regal rides a skateboard, and he's like, William Regal rides a skateboard, AJ Styles is a douche, and then just posted it and got the win. This was before I arrived, and somebody can verify that in the comments. If somebody listens to this, I mean, let's be honest, they're probably going to start listening, hear you, and just turn it off.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, you're a piece of shit, right?
Yeah, I'm a piece of shit.
I know you said that if you go back and do one thing different, it would be to integrate yourself early on. Do you have any advice for any other new members who might be listening to this?
Persist. That's it. I don't think you need to be friends with everyone here. I think you just need to have the right attitude, and I guess that's with anything in life. Just anything worth it isn't all easy at the start. I know everyone started at some point, and just stick with it, and you'll enjoy your time here.
Do you feel like you're getting more out of the EWA now than you did in the beginning?
yeah, I don't think I'd be here, because if I didn't, it takes a lot of your time up. I mean, like, it's not as simple as just posting 2 or 3 things a week and then that's it. You know what I mean? Like, you have to pay attention, you have to think about what you write, everything has to make sense, and it's just past a hobby, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I think due to the timing of you joining last year, that you won't be eligible for Newcomer of the Year in 2014 awards, but if you don't wind up being Most Improved Writer over the course of 2014, then there's something seriously wrong with the voting process. And I honestly think the only one that could really snatch that from you would be someone like Corey, who has taken Dean Ambrose to a completely whole new level and tier that we've not experienced in the EWA for a long time. But, you know, it'd just be another loss to Corey that someone could totally understand. But I really think your writing has come a long way. I enjoy reading your stuff. I enjoy having you be a part of the community, and, you know, I enjoy you having the desire and ability to come onto this podcast and do, 40 minutes just talking about yourself and your character in the EWA. I think it speaks volumes for you, and, it's always nice to have new blood on and to, know that we don't run everyone off.
Nah, thank you. I've enjoyed my time here, and thanks for having me on here as well. And I would have no shame in losing to Corey if he did win that. It's not about awards to me. Like, at the moment, like, that's not where I'm at. But from what I've seen, like, he's always been good to me. Like, that's all I've seen. Like, So I don't know where he's come from, but I think he'll hold on to that belt for a while.
Well, you never know, right? And sometimes title reigns can be uncertain.
Unless Vader comes back.
Well, President Vader, he will kick someone's ass. Don't even smack talk him, Chris. I will have Vader come back and kick Shelton Benjamin's ass on Fury.
We should line that up. Maybe you can kick me off a skateboard.
That sounds like the greatest role play of all time. All right, Chris, I want to thank you for coming on. Again, terrific to have you on. I know it's early morning over there, and I know you got a lot of stuff going on, but we carved out some time this morning, and really it's 6 o'clock in the evening here for me, so it's pretty easy for me to record this, but it's been an absolute pleasure. Is there anything you'd like to say to the EWA universe before we head off here?
No, there isn't. I don't like any of you.
That's absolutely perfect. Steve's a prick, and that's fine.
Fuck you all.
And, yeah, all right, that makes sense to me, but not me, because I'm cool. But
no,
yeah,
you're all right.
Fuck Brett. Fuck John. I'm sorry, are you saying fuck John? Are you saying fuck me too? Like, this is John. I've been on the call the whole time. Why would you say that about me, Chris? Oh my, John is here, and now he's upset. But no, once again, thanks for coming on. And if you'd like to come on the EWA podcast, I urge you to send me a message on the forum and just say, hey, I want to come on and talk some shit with you. I have a couple other messages out there that I need to get to right now, but, it would be great to have some newer people on, so if you're listening to this and think this is something you'd be interested in, or if you haven't been on in a while and think you'd like to come on, and that does not include you, Brian Powers, so stop sending me messages. Just feel free to drop me a line and we'll get something worked out. Chris, been a pleasure. Have a great morning and day over there in Australia, and I'm going to sleep well tonight, my friend.
Thank you very much. Have a good night. Sleep well.